I guess from a social media aspect, it looks like we're never home. And people will text my wife, hey, like, Colby's doing this now, Colby's doing that now.
Colby's juggling all these things.
Yeah, is he ever at home? It's like, yeah, I'm at home. And it's kind of like, I guess in your dad's aspect, his business was something way bigger than what I'm doing.
Like you had to like physically be present
yeah,
in
and
other
all,
states.
all the stuff that I'm doing is computer based. I can do it from my phone.
Yeah.
So and she told me, because I wanted to go to school to be a professor or a principal.
Okay.
And she was like, well, you're never going to be at home. And her thing is, I want you home.
Yeah.
I said, well, if you
Well,
want
she
to...
probably just wants you to be like present for
Yeah.
him, and
Yeah.
you want that too,
Yeah,
right?
and this was even before we even got married.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like thinking, this is what she wants. What can I do? Because I was dead set being a principal, but I know their schedule. They're always at all the games. They're
Really, I didn't
they're
realize that about principals.
they're everywhere. So just thinking about it, and then the tutoring thing kind of just came out of nowhere. It's kind of like what you said.
Yeah.
It just clicked. Something clicked in me, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna run with this. So I'm glad someone else has that clicking kind of like mentality that just like someone's like, how does it happen? I don't know. Just click.
It just things just roll in place as long as you stick on that same mission and thing. Things will work out if you just stick consistently. And like you said, you think and plan the thing through. It's not always going to be it's never what you plan. I promise you can have it all planned out, written out, and it'll never work out like that. But as long as you're in that direction, things will come to you, and usually ends up working out for the better, which is what happened with me. Because ended up because the falling out with that business partner did happen, and my dad was right the whole time. I was like, no, Dad, you're not right.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do. I'm going to own this company. This is going to be huge, and you'll see. And then, a couple of years later, I was like, okay, all right, well, it didn't work out.
All right, you're right. You can
But I needed that, and I feel like people need that lesson, though. Like, I would have never learned it from my dad telling me.
Right.
I had to do it myself.
Exactly.
So I think that was still really big that I did go through that, because if my dad told me, it always would have been that what if. Like, I would have been in my head, oh, that could have worked out and have been such a great thing.
Exactly.
So I'm glad that I went through it and it didn't end up working out, and I realized, the harder way. But again, I was young, so very easy to recover, go on to something else.
Right.
And it didn't really affect me much.
Yeah.
Only lessons learned.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's one thing. It's just like you go through it once, and it's like as long as you're going through it once and learning from that and not doing it over and over, and kind of like, okay, I learned my lesson. What can I do better? And some people have that. I messed up once. I'll just do it again with someone else. So I mean, that's not something that I learned. It's like, okay, I messed up once. How did I mess up? And how can I not make this happen again?
Yeah.
Learn from your mistakes.
Yeah. I have maybe 2 questions. I forgot one, but I do have one about business partner. I've talked to one of my friends, and she was just like, "Oh, you need to get a business partner." Like, how did you find a business partner, and how do you? Because I'm a big I don't trust anybody.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you're trusting some people with like everything that you've built, or like you guys are starting, but you really don't know their intention because one, they're not like your close friend, so you kind of have to build that trust. So how did you build the trust? But how did you kind of connect with your business partner?
So I think that's a really good question, by the way. So, and I'll tell you, I'm in my 20s. My business partner's in his 60s. Okay, so he would probably have a hard time answering these questions. And a lot of people ask, why would you trust this 20-year-old? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he would probably have, on this question, for me, it's easier to trust someone in their 60s who's been through it and things. It's like, he has all that experience. It's great. It's probably a lot harder on his side to go, man, I'm gonna partner up with a 20-year-old. So on his side, it's probably a lot harder for him to do. But for me, I knew him decently. But as well as he's the one that brought the product up to me and explained the science and everything. He owned his own landscaping business here. He owned another business, back in where he lived in Wisconsin. So I know he's owned several businesses, and I knew him a little bit. And I just, you can never know for sure. But from what I knew is that he was a really good guy, and that he did have good intentions. And everything he showed me. And at the time, I had nothing to lose.
How long did you know him before you decided?
So when I worked my first spray job after I left mowing lawns, I worked for a company called Bug Out. And I started, they're a big company here. I worked for them when they were a local company. Unfortunately, they're not anymore. But I started just spraying lawns. It's really weird how I met him, because I had a really long day. And I had one more yard to do, and I could have easily done it the next day. And I could have just gone home and easily done it the next day. It would have not been a problem. For some reason, I was like, no, I gotta go get this done. I'm here, I'm gonna do it. And it was like really late in the day. And so I go and there's dudes working in the yard. And I was like, oh, just knowing me, I was like, I'm gonna go talk to them. So I start talking to these guys and ended up being, it's my business partner now, but ended up being him. He owned a landscape business and they were doing landscaping at the house.
Wow.
And so we just started talking and he realized, and this was just right after I got out of school, left my mowing job, and he realized like, wow, this dude knows a lot, because I knew a lot about the turf and things, and he tried to hire me. And I told him, I said, no, I can't. I got to work here to get my license because I want to start my own spray company one day. So I was like, I have to get this license. So he's like, okay, well, let's exchange business, because he did landscaping and I did spraying. So we exchanged business cards and we referred each other business for like a year. And eventually I left Bug Out and went to work for another company on the other side of town, and we didn't talk for like 2 years.
Yeah.
So we knew each other for the year, and every time we did, he was super nice, super good guy. I mean, we always exchanged business. It was great. So like a year later is when he randomly, like 2 years later is when he randomly called me. So I haven't seen him from then.
Yeah.
From then. So it was kind of, but I knew he's a really good guy, and I know he's run a lot of companies. I mean, I know he's been successful and things like that. So you just
had that trust for him because of that. He had like the experience and the knowledge.
Right.
He's elderly, sort of.
Well,
I don't want to call
and
60 elderly, but.
Well, and he kind of remembered you as well.
Yes.
So it's kind of like he remembered, he thought about you, and he came back.
Yeah.
And I guess
great.
that's a good thing of finding out. Okay, so he did think about man, and he did take his time to come back, even after we had a conversation, after I even said no to him.
Yeah.
And so that's a big thing.
He probably also saw that you followed through like your plans.
Yeah.
He thought that that's very trustworthy.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, we really had nothing to lose too. So it was like when we started, it's like you said, trust a business partner. I think it would be hard, like if I had all of what we have now to bring somebody in, that would be scary because I have a lot of assets and things and I have something to lose.
Right.
But at the time I went, after he called me, I had dinner with him the night. He showed me all the science. I mean, he's great. His wife, I ended up living with him for a year to get our business started, actually.
Wow, cool.
So yeah, so I mean,
really got to know each other.
well, he's the type of guy, he'll do anything for anybody. I mean, he owns his landscape business. He does so much for his guys that he doesn't have to do, and sometimes he gets screwed doing it, but he will still do it. He'll put a helping hand to anybody at any time. I mean,
that's a good way to live.
And I'm really good at getting vibes on people. Like,
Yeah.
and a lot of people who read books and things, I think they do. Like, I know right away if I don't get a good vibe, but I'm like, my gut has been right, I'd say like 98% of the time.
Yeah.
And I just had a good feeling. And when we did it, we went and bought like a Harbor Freight pump. I mean, we were only like $250 in when we started. I mean, and I was like, let's just go.
That is something I want to touch
spread
on. So
ours.
how did you start, since financials is one of our topic, like did you guys take out a loan for anything? Were you all just
No, so
cash basically?
Yes.
Was it
Up
like
front?
half and half, or how did it work, especially with the business partner?
what we did is, I mean, it was as half as it could be, but it really wasn't. We kind of just tracked our capital.
Okay.
And things like that. And as the business will make money,
Sure,
which
that's fair.
yeah, so as the business makes money, we're gonna make sure we get paid back on whatever we put in. So the way we did is we just bought equipment. Like I said, he has a landscaping business, so we had a small customer base.
Yeah. Okay.
So we kind of used them to test and things like that, and that's what we grew off of. And at the time, I was like 21 or 22, so I couldn't get loans.
Yeah.
No bank would give me loans or anything like
Yeah.
that. So, but they would give me credit cards. So I had a bunch of high interest credit cards, but that's what I used. So I had a lot of money in savings too. So I drained my savings, and I used a bunch of, and I pretty much used.
Were you scared about that?
I feel like I should have been, but I really wasn't.
You felt it. You took the lead.
Yeah,
I felt it.
Now that I think about it, I really should have been because I saved so much. But at the time, it just felt so right, and it was just. And this is always what I wanted to do. This opportunity came. I was just full blown into it. I was, I felt like I should have been more careful with it, and maybe I could have done it without such high interest of the cards. But I was things were just happening, and I was so excited. And
you did what you could with what you were offered.
Yep. So we took out no loans or anything. We started with just capital that we have and credit cards. And I used my credit cards to pay my rent for a while.
Yeah.
And eventually my lease was running out, and I was running out of money. My credit cards were getting maxed out. So then I lived with him for a year. He has a daughter, a wife, and a dog. So I lived with a full family. He brought me in and let me live with a full family for a year, and I had a bedroom there.
It's also gonna say something about how well you guys work together, that you were able to live with your business partner.
Yeah.
You know, because that's hard to do. It's hard to have a roommate in general.
Yes.
It was. It was great at first, but after a while it did get hard to do because I was in their space.
Right.
You know, and I really tried to
But as you grew,
respect
you were
that.
probably able to, you know, branch off on your own once it got to a point.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, which we did. Well, the rule was a year.
Yeah.
You know, I got 1 year. Let's
Mhm.
grow this, get this together, and I gotta get out of there.
Yeah.
In which the year came up, I was ready too.
Perfect.
Because all I had was my own bedroom, and it was
Yeah.
really tough because our office is at his house.
Mhm.
So what he brings to the table is first off, he does a lot of the office and computer stuff and the finances.
Mhm.
That's not me. I
Yeah.
love to drive around. I love to talk to my customers. I have the law knowledge, so that's what I do. He knows basic marketing. He's really good at Photoshop, so he can make pamphlets and flyers himself, so we don't have to pay somebody to do it.
Yeah.
He understands the finances and things like that. So
You guys
he's,
balance each other out.
so he's really good at that. So
Really
he's
well.
in the office a lot. He does that, and I'm out in the field all the time. He doesn't have the law knowledge I have, and
Yeah.
I don't have the finance, and plus I can't sit in office all day.
Yeah.
That's so hard for me
Yeah.
to do. I feel like I would rather work outside in 100-degree heat than sit in office all day. I think sitting inside all day is a lot harder.
I'm a mixture of both. I could do both. I mean,
I'm a
obviously.
pretty happy medium too.
Yeah, I mean, being a teacher, like, because I've worked in elementary, so you're inside and then you have recess.
Mm-hmm.
Some days at recess, I'm like, I just want to be inside.
Yeah.
But then some days at recess, I'm like, let's go play kickball, let's play basketball.
Yeah.
So it just depends on the day with me, and what I'm wearing. So if I'm like really dressed up, I'm kind of like, I want to be inside.
Yeah. That's pretty cool though. So you can get to go in and come out and.
Yeah, that's the positive element. High school, you don't really. I stay in my portable, so like when I do leave, everybody's like, something happening. Like, I'm like,
Do your kids go crazy in the classroom when you walk out, like to go to the bathroom or something?
Like high school.
I always remember that in high school, like the teacher would walk
No,
out
I
and
think
people would like
it's-
act out.
I think with me is I feel like a lot of students still don't know who I am. Like this is my
Okay.
second year there,
Oh.
so they just know me by the teacher that sits on. I stay on my porch because like I make sure there's no fights or anything.
Yeah.
So like if I do leave, it's during lunch, and like a principal came up to me, and he was like, "Something wrong?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You're out of your room." I was like, I mean, some days I gotta come out of my room sometimes, but yeah, I usually stay in my room. I'm not a big. My wife likes mowing the lawn.
Yeah.
She'll mow it in 100 degrees. She's like, we gotta get it done. I'm like, go ahead.
Do you, boo boo?
I'll stay
Take
in the
care of that
house.
lawn.
Yeah, she actually mowed it when she was pregnant, and she
Wow.
posted it on social media. I got a lot of stuff.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
I was
sure
gonna
you
say
did.
that. Oh man.
And then my friends put in the group chat, and they're like, so you're letting your pregnant wife mow the lawn? I was like, I'm at work.
She likes it.
And
What?
plus it was cool, so it's not like she's out there like
Yeah.
dying or
Yeah.
killing herself.
I'm sure she likes it too because, you know, when you're pregnant, like you just want to get out of the house and like use that little bit of energy you can.
Yeah.
And it feels good to like exert that. But then after that, you're just like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm done for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Like, leave me
It's
alone.
pretty funny.
So, what else did we have to talk about?
Oh, I wanted to talk about getting legit. So becoming licensed and insured and not like, I mean, in the beginning, it's one thing to like try to gain your clientele
Yeah.
not licensed and insured, but it's really important to get that paperwork because, you know, you don't want to be in a position where the IRS comes after you, you know, and
And
Stuff
they're
like that.
attacking you, and it's kind of like, oh my gosh. So, like,
Exactly.
because you started younger. So, did you get all of your paperwork done then, or did you just, like, how did you
Yeah.
figure out about the paperwork?
It was
Or, like, did you start off, like, I'm sorry to cut you off, or did you, like, start off as, like, an LLC or what?
yeah, how'd you start?
So we actually, so for me, I had to get my license because we use, even though we use more organic stuff, we're not treated any differently from the state.
Yeah.
The state treats us just like any of the other chemical guys. So I have to be licensed. I had to be insured by the state to even be able to buy products and even do this. So it was actually really hard for my schooling. I learned what licenses I need. It was actually really, really hard to find out from the state how to get those licenses and take those tests and things like that. So that was my first step I had to do. But luckily I worked for a company and I made them pay for everything.
Yes,
Because I got it
there you go.
underneath them.
Yeah.
So I got my licensing through them, and because for them it helps me move
What
up
is
in
that
place.
called? Like, is it called something for pest and for?
Yeah,
for
so
lawn?
it is my called an applicator's card.
Okay.
So what I can do is people work underneath my license.
Okay.
So what
Like
they
a contractor.